Okay, so just coming from the aftermath of Calicity, which I'll admit was a little longer than I wanted it to be, but there are just so many big words to pronounce. My goodness. Yeah. And I am noticing that when I'm doing these articles, when I used to just normally words. When when I read Wikipedia articles on my own, I definitely skim it a lot more. Now I seem to be trying harder to actually read everything, which maybe I'll forego at some point in the future as I kind of fall into a rhythm here. But yeah, there are more articles I want to do. I don't think I have anything stemming off of Calicity here that I feel particularly interested in doing. Um, yeah. Oh, I am noticing real quick that I had said here that control of the glands, the venom glands, permits it to administer either a dry bite, a dose appropriate to the nature of the prey or enemy, or a maximal dose. When I read that originally, I accidentally read this as the second part here as in a positive of dry bite. So I apologize for that. Those are separate things. A dry bite, a dose appropriate to the nature of the prey or enemy, or a maximal dose. Three different kinds. Cool. Yeah. Nothing else I want to read stemming off of here. There's a lot that I could because it's very interesting, but nothing I will. And we had this guy. I kind of wanted to read Minuca pugnax because I think that was a short one. Yeah. Let's knock it out real quick. Minuca pugnax, commonly known as the Atlantic marsh fidler crab, is a species of fidler crab that lives on the northwestern shores of the Atlantic Ocean. Northwestern of the Atlantic. So that's like Maine area, I guess. And fiddler crab or calling crab may be any of more than 100 species of semi-terrestrial marine crabs in the family Ocypodidae. Ocypodidae? Ocypodidae. Well known for their sexually dimorphic claws. The male's major claw is much larger than the minor claw, while the female's claws are both the same size. Distribution. Minuca pugnax is, I hope this is pugnax and not like an Italian thing like pugnax. Let me let me see if I can get a pronunciation for that. Etymology, classical IPA is pugnax. That is okay. Pugnax. It might be pugnax. Shoot. Let me let me see if I can like plug this into Google Translate. No, not Russian. When have I ever translated Russian? Italian. Sorry for this divergence here, but well, I don't care if my pronunciation is perfect. I do care if it's somewhat right. Um, Pugnax is what English on Google Translate says. Pugnax is what it says in Italian and Latin. It says Pugnax as well, which from Latin to Italian, Pugnax translates as aggressivo. Aggressivo. So I'm right or wrong. I'm going to be referring to it as Minuca pugnax. I'm going to gloss the G and the N into a nya sound, which I believe is common in Italian. Same with G to L is like a lia, and what is it? G to something else. I forget. So yeah, pugnax. Minuca pugnax is the most common species of fiddler crab on the east coast of the United States. Its natural range extends from Cape Cod to northern Florida. Okay. In 2014, its northern limit was extended to Hampton, New Hampshire, as a result of a range expansion possibly due to climate change. Prior to the 2000s, studies suggested that its habitat range was limited to low marsh habitats such as creeks, bayfronts, and mosquito ditches, that are regularly flooded by the tide. The number of crabs decreased substantially in high marsh habitats. Reports also indicated that Minuca pugnax would burrow during high tide and not reemerge until the tide had receded. The habitat was therefore restricted to areas where burrows were available to occupy and could be constructed. However, reports in the 2010s began noting higher than expected numbers of Minuca pugnax. I realize I've changed my pronunciation of Minuca a couple times. Minuca pugnax in high marsh areas along the Long Island Sound and in Rhode Island. Minuca pugnax has a mutualistic relationship with Spartina alterniflora, a perennial deciduous grass found in intertidal wetlands. The plants provide structural support necessary for the crab's burrows, and the burrowing itself increases production of the grass. That's cool. However, in bare areas of the marshes caused by human disruption, the burrowing can damage the S. alterniflora, the Spartina alterniflora seedlings. Burrowing can damage the seedlings by disturbing the soil, which also increases sediment in the water column and reduce the amount of organic matter in the soil. All of these can increase the negative impacts of sea level rise on wetland ecosystems. So Spartina alterniflora, that looks very familiar. How long is that article? We'll see if it's worth doing. Yeah, we'll do that right after this. So that's interesting. It's from Cape Cod, Massachusetts, all the way to northern Florida, and I'll dox myself as being in the Chesapeake Bay watershed, and perhaps it does say Atlantic Ocean, so I'm within the bay, and have I never seen them? I might have. I feel like I have some vague memory of catching something with a big claw, but if I have, it's only ever happened like once. So they must keep pretty soundly to the ocean and not the bay. Interesting. So description: there is noticeable sexual dimorphism in Minuca pugnax. Although both males and females are olive brown in color, males have a carapace width of 15 to 23 millimeters, which is about half an inch to 1 inch, and a patch of royal blue on the carapace, while females lack the blue patch. Males have a carapace width. They're both olive brown in color. Males have a carapace width of half an inch to an inch, and a patch of royal blue on the carapace, while females lack the blue patch and are only half an inch to about a 3/4 of an inch, or 13 to 18 millimeters, versus the male 15 to 23 millimeters. In both sexes, the paraeopods or the walking legs have dark bands, and the eye stalks are narrow. The most conspicuous difference is the form of the calipeds. Darn it, I forget it already. Those guys, the claw-bearing legs. In females, they are similar, while in males, one is greatly enlarged and colored yellow. So let's look at that real quick. This is definitely a male. I don't see the royal blue. Oh well. Unless like this is a really, really dark blue, but I don't know. Life cycle. The males use circular movements of their large caliped to attract a mate. Circular movements, how erotic. Yeah. Mating occurs up to every 2 weeks. Man, they get around. Well, at least they get more than I do. Typically 4 to 5 days after the spring tides, over a period lasting from June to September. So, mating occurs up to every 2 weeks, typically 4 to 5 days after the spring tides, over a period lasting from June to September. It takes place in a burrow, nice and cozy, after which the female will brood her eggs for 12 to 15 days before releasing the hatchling larvae on the high spring tides. The larvae pass through 5 planktonic zoea and 1 megalopus stages before settling to the seafloor to molt into the adult form. This process takes around 28 days. After 1 year, the crab reaches sexual maturity, and the adult lifespan is typically 12 to 18 months. It's shorter than I would have expected. So yeah, you have a year of being a baby to an adolescent, and then after sexual maturity, you've got another year to live. Great. Taxonomic history: the Minuca pugnax was first described by Sidney Irving Smith in 1870 as Gelasimus pugnax. Its common names include marsh fiddler crab, mud fiddler crab, Atlantic mud fiddler crab, and Atlantic marsh fiddler crab. Minuca pugnax was formerly a member of the genus Euca, or Uca, but in 2016 it was placed in the genus Minuca, a former subgenus of Euca. Okay. So that is all of that Minuca pugnax article. But I think that we've still got enough time that I want to do, what was it, the Spartina alterniflora. Yeah, this looks like it should just be a straight read. Okay, Sporobolus alterniflorus, or synonymously known as Spartina alterniflorus, alterniflora. Sorry, that's a lot of similar sounds, making my mouth go blah blah blah. Or the smooth cordgrass, saltmarsh cordgrass, or saltwater cordgrass, is a perennial deciduous grass which is found on intertidal wetlands, especially estuarine salt. Is that how you say it? I know estuarine salt marshes. What's a salt marsh? Also known as a coastal salt marsh or a tidal marsh, is a coastal ecosystem in the upper coastal intertidal zone between land and open saltwater or brackish water that is regularly flooded by tides. Okay, so it just means saltwater or brackish water comes and floods these little marshes intermittently. Cool. It has been reclassified as Sporobolus alterniflorus after a taxonomic revision in 2014. But it is still common to see Spartina alterniflorus, and in 2019, an interdisciplinary team of experts co-authored a report published in the journal Ecology, supporting Spartina as a genus. It grows 1 to 1.5 meters tall, which is about 3 to 5 feet tall, and has smooth, hollow stems that bear leaves up to 20 to 60 centimeters long, which is about 8 inches. Leaves about 8 inches to 2 feet long, and 1.5 centimeters wide. So they are a thin but a long leaf. And that is at their base, that they are 1.5 wide. Which are sharply tapered, these leaves, are sharply tapered and bend down at their tips. Like its relative salt meadow cordgrass, S. patens, there we are, it produces flowers and seeds on only one side of the stalk. The flowers are a yellowish green, turning brown by the winter. It has rhizoidal roots, which, when broken off, can result in vegetative asexual growth. The roots are an important food resource for snow geese. It can grow in low marsh, frequently inundated by the tide, as well as high marsh, less frequently inundated, but it is usually restricted to low marsh because it is outcompeted by salt meadow cordgrass. The S. patens. By salt meadow cordgrass in the high marsh. It grows in a wide range of salinities from about 5 psu to marine 32 psu. I'm not familiar with that unit, but it's a salinity measurement. And has been described as the single most important plant single most important marsh plant species in the estuary of Chesapeake Bay. It is described as intolerant of shade. And I'm glad it said that about Chesapeake Bay because I thought these looked incredibly familiar. Like, I'm pretty sure I see this all the time. But yeah, you can see how thin and long these leaves are, and apparently only one side of the stalk produces seeds and flowers. And yes, they are hollow. They're like a reed. Alterniflorus is noted for, man, this is going to be one of those facts that, I'll be the actually guy walking around by like the water and I'll be like, huh, Spartina alterniflora. And everyone will be like, shut the F up. So alterniflorus is noted for its capacity to act as an environmental engineer. It grows out into the water at the seaward edge of a salt marsh and accumulates sediment and enables other habitat engineering species, such as mussels, to settle. This accumulation of sediment and other substrate building species gradually builds up the level of the land at the seaward edge, and other higher marsh species move on to the new land. As the marsh accretes, alterniflorus moves still further out to form a new edge. S. alterniflorus grows in tallest forms at the outermost edge of a given marsh, displaying shorter morphologies up onto the landward side of the Sporobolus belt. S. alterniflorus is native to the Atlantic coast of the Americas from Newfoundland, Canada, south to northern Argentina, woo-wee, where it forms a dominant part of brackish coastal salt marshes. The caterpillars of Aaron skipper, Poenis aroni, have only been found on this species to date. Come on, show me these Aaron skipper. Where's Aaron skipper? It's loading apparently. Give me a picture, give me a picture. Well, I still see a loading sign. Maybe nope, it's not going to give it to me. North American butterfly from the skipper family, which occurs in salt marshes along the Atlantic coast. So probably looks something like that. Vivid orange wings with broad black borders. Okay. Aaron skipper. Problems as invasive species. No, it would never. Sporobolus alterniflorus can become an invasive plant either by itself or by hybridizing with native species and interfering with the propagation of the pure native strain. The grass can hinder water circulation and drainage or block boating canals. Meadows of S. alterniflorus can crowd out native species, reducing biodiversity. Oops, I'm sorry, dog is yelling. Am I about to have a guest? If I am about to have a guest, I'm going to end this recording.